All right, so today, after the election and seeing that it was a big landslide for the Republican Party, as well as winning the House and the Senate, it's going to be a big chance to, do a lot of change. Anyways, I did vote for Trump. I do believe in his policies, and for what I've already been seeing, he's not playing no games. He's gonna go ahead with his policies and with his agenda, and he's gonna achieve it, and he's gonna go ahead and execute. Um, Anyways, we do have a video I want to watch. It's gonna be about Bernie, and he literally gonna hit on a lot of the key points in which I switched from Democrat to Republican. And there's some other stuff, but he did actually uh, point a lot of them, and it is kind of sad still seeing the Democratic Party look at their wound and try to blame the whole world, but them, and it's really sad. But anyways, um, not to forget, I did vote for Trump, and I do believe with the things that he's going to be doing. So let's get into this video.
Class. How exactly do you think Democrats have abandoned the working class, Senator?
Look, the working people of this country are extremely angry. They have a right to be angry. In the richest country in the history of the world, today the people on top are doing phenomenally well, while 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, and millions of families worry that their kids are actually going to have a lower standard of living than they do. You got the top 1% owning more wealth than the bottom 90%. We're the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all of our people. 25% of our seniors are trying to live on $15,000 a year or less. We have the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any major country on earth. And the gap between the people on top and everybody else is getting wider and wider. And then, Kristen, on top of all of that, we got a corrupt campaign finance system which allows billionaires to buy elections. So if you're an average worker out there, you're saying, hey, I'm working longer and longer hours, going nowhere in a hurry, worried about my kids, and yet the people on top have never had it so good. Where is the Democratic Party? Are they prepared to stand up to these powerful corporate interests, raise the minimum wage, fight for health care for all people, make sure that all of our kids get the quality education that they need, expand Social Security? Are they prepared to do those things? That's the issue that we have to address.
Well, as you know, your statement was met with some sharp reaction as well. This is what Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi had to say. Take a look at your reaction on the other side.
Bernie Sanders has not won. Let me, with all due respect, and I have a great deal of respect for him, for what he stands for, but I don't respect him saying that the Democratic Party has abandoned the working class families.
Senator, how do you respond to Nancy Pelosi?
The arrogance again. These people do not understand, and they don't understand how disconnect it is.
Well, Nancy is a friend of mine, and we've worked together on many issues. But here is the reality. I have to say to Nancy, in the Senate in the last 2 years, we have not even brought forth legislation to raise the minimum wage to a living wage, despite the fact that some 20 million people in this country are working for less than $15 an hour. In America today, we have not brought, in the Senate, we have not brought to the floor the PRO Act to make it easier for workers to join unions. We're not talking about defined benefit pension plans so that our elderly can retire with security. We're not talking about lifting the cap on Social Security so that we can extend the solvency of Social Security and raise benefits. Bottom line, if you're an average working person out there, do you really think that the Democratic Party is going to the mats, taking on powerful special interests and fighting for you? I think the overwhelming answer is
No.
And that is what has got to change.
Senator, let me zoom out and just ask you about these results. You've heard some of the reaction throughout the Democratic Party. How much do you personally blame President Biden for this loss?
President Biden, when he came into office, said that he would be the most progressive president since FDR. And I think on domestic issues, not foreign policy, on domestic issues, he has kept his word, and the agenda that he has pushed through has been an extraordinarily strong one. But that agenda has got to be placed within the overall context of American society today. And that American society today is one in which tens of millions of working families and elderly people are struggling, while the people on top have never had it so good.
But Senator, should he have gotten out of the race more quickly, as some are arguing?
I supported him because I think his agenda was a strong agenda, a working class agenda. I'm not going to look backwards. Kamala ran a strong campaign. She did everything that she could. She decisively won the debate. So to me, it's not just about the campaign. It's about what does the Democratic Party stand for? Do ordinary people say, yeah, that is a party that is fighting for my interest and prepared to take on the big money interest who control the economic and political life of the country? That's to me what the issue is.
Yeah, we're talking a lot about the economics. You've talked about how the Democratic Party is out of touch when it comes to economic issues. Some Democrats are saying it's not just economic issues, it's cultural issues as well. Here's what Democratic strategist James Carville had to say. Take a look.
What killed the Democrats and what killed Biden was a sense of disorder. And part of the sense of disorder was the unfortunate events of what I would refer to as the woke era.
Has the Democratic Party's focus on identity politics gone too far, Senator?
Let me answer it this way. I think if the Democratic Party must continue to stand up against all forms of bigotry. And Democrats should hold their head high in saying, we led the fight for women's rights and to protect the woman's constitutional right for abortion. We led the fight for civil rights, for gay rights. That is something we should be proud of. But it's not either or, Kristen. This is the problem. You can do both. You can say that I'm for raising the minimum wage to a living wage, guarantee health care for all people, expanding Social Security. And by the way, I also support a woman's right to control her own body, etc. It's not either or. It's going forward in both directions.
You know, I've been speaking to some Democrats who are concerned because now President-elect Trump has beaten 2 women candidates, and their concern is that it will make it more difficult to nominate a woman candidate in the future. Do you share that concern, Senator?
No, I don't. I think it's not a question. Look, I'm not going to deny that there is sexism in this country, that there's racism, there's homophobia. It's there. But on the other hand, I think what the American people want to support, whether it's a woman, a man, a black or a white, or Latino, whatever, is they want to support somebody who is standing up, Kristen, and fighting for them. People are in pain. People are hurting. They can't afford to go to a doctor. They can't afford to send their kids to childcare or to college. They're worried about future generations and what kind of standard of living they will have. Here is the bottom line, and it has to be dealt with. You got an economy today doing phenomenally well for the people on top. It is not working for the working class. All right? How do we address those issues? And in the richest country on the history of the world, create an economy that works for all. That is the issue. And by the way, what Trump did in his election is to say, I know that you're hurting. And the reason is they got millions of people coming across the border illegal. They're eating your dogs. They're eating your cats. He gave an explanation. Happened to be a pretty crazy explanation. Yes, we have to strengthen the borders, but that is not going to raise wages for working people or provide health care to all people. The Democrats need an explanation. And that explanation is corporate greed and the power of the billionaire class. I know that's uncomfortable for people in the Democratic Party, some people, but that is the issue we have to address.
Senator, quickly before I let you go, I do want to ask you about the Supreme Court. Some Democrats behind the scenes quietly talking about the possibility, should Justice Sotomayor step down, to allow President Biden to appoint someone who's younger. She's only 70 years old. Is that something that you would support? Do you think she should step down?
No, I don't.
Because they don't make it super obvious.
Talk of this?
A little bit, yes. I don't think it's a sensible approach.
And you don't think it's a sensible approach?
Correct.
All right. Senator Bernie Sanders, thank you very much for your time this morning and your perspective. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for watching.
All right. So, listen, I agree with most of the things, pointing out the reasons why a lot of people ended up voting for Trump. Now, the reasons why he said that, the reasons he chose in which why they left, I don't agree with them, because I don't think going more to the left is going to really be the solution. I think one of the reasons why a lot of people ended up going for Trump is because they were kind of tired of this push to change in a way that is not natural. It's mostly based out of intimidation, pressure, and it really it's not going to lead to actual change, because it's going against our nature. If the change is going to be for good, it needs to be something smooth and which is not causing so many issues and chaos like it is right now. So yeah, when it comes to that, I do agree with some of the points that he said. I would actually add, and I think that's when the car bill dude kind of said, the whole woke thing, but mostly the transgender issue, because when that commercial came, that stuff was not in a lot of people's mind. But when the commercial, it really put everything into perspective. That it is so many things that could happen, because it's just a slippery slope. It doesn't matter if right now it's not a big issue. What is a big issue is how bad it could get, and understanding that we already know the nature of a Democrat. They're gonna, they're gonna try to preach, let's be free and let everybody be free. And with that slippery slope, it's only a matter of years before we actually in that same situation. So that is a really big thing on why people ended up not voting for Democrats. And it could have been anybody. That's why I really don't believe that anybody coming from the Democratic side, no matter how good they were, if they were coming with the same message Kamala had, it wouldn't go nowhere, because I think just people are tired of that ideology. People just want something more consistent, something more logical, and something more truthful, in the sense that, a lot of the policies that we had, you could test it with everything, but it's tested based on logic. It's not based on, we just hope that this will do better. Which is the reason why I agree with a lot of the policies, because they are literally straightforward. Anybody could understand it, but because anybody could understand it, everybody could scrutinize it, and if you don't really know better, you could get persuade pretty easy, because it's easy to make a counterpoint, because they are just that simple. So yes, those are reasons why people voted, but I do have my own reasons on why. And one of them is basically, listen, this dude is not playing no game. In less than 3 days, he already put basic, logical, straight to the point answers to all of the questions they ask. Now, I do understand that maybe you might not like the answer and it makes you feel some type of way. That is literally fair. You have the right to feel like that. But in my ears, what he's saying and what he's doing is basically what I asked for him to do. So I'm in this boat, and I'm gonna write it out, because I already kind of thought about the worst case scenario. Trump is not about war, so the worst case scenario about being war is not gonna happen, because him being the negotiator he is, I'm sure that he'll be really willing to negotiate anything that will lead to some type of peace and not having no type of war. So there, I'm not even worried about. When it comes to the economy, listen, worst case scenario is that we might just suffer a little bit, but it's going to be for the benefit of America in the long run, because now countries are going to have to come to the table and literally negotiate with fair taxes when it comes to tariffs and stuff like that. Because now they're going to understand that we're not bluffing, that we are willing to to walk through fire too, to make sure that we are going to stand by our decisions. So I'm okay with that, because I much rather spend some money or sacrifice some money doing something that is going to benefit America than just giving money away for free for no reason, and just to have more people here, and which now we're going to have to support. Listen, we got to be smart. And at the end of the day, it is a good bluff having those tariffs. Yes, I'm not going to disagree that it might make our prices go a little bit up, but I think it's going to put other people in situations in which they're going to have to decide, maybe I should start making my things in America and bypass those tariffs. And now I got my own people buying their own stuff in America, and now we're proud. You know, listen, this is a short windfall for the longer future, for the benefit of the future, because what it's going to actually do, if we're able to pull this move and we're able to win in the tariffs land, if we are able to move and win on this terrain, what that's going to do is that we're going to have a better market in other countries. So now our products are going to be popular in other countries because it's not going to take that much tariffs for them to actually import it from our country. Now we're going to be able to negotiate. And since we do have a better standard, because now we could say, listen, just like we are safe for the country when it comes to the environment, we do not implement slave labor. So it'll be such an advanced strategic that we will have. But we gotta, like I said again, it takes sacrifice, and it's gonna take us time to actually get to that point. So when it comes to that, I'm not really worried about it, because worst case scenario is always going to be a benefit for the country. The only thing that I might be a little bit worried about it is just a little bit of the immigration and a little bit of the LGBTQ rights. But at the same time, I'm not of the believer that we should be pandering to a 1%, no more than 3% of of the country, because that's not fair. That's not how the presidency works. So that's the sacrifice the country's gonna have to make. You know what I'm saying? But I think that that type of sacrifice is for the benefit of everybody, because it's not like the rights are gonna be taken away, but the funding and that's one of the things that nobody could deny that in the past 5 years, maybe more, there has been a lot of funding, a lot of money going to these type of groups, and which it literally benefits about 1% or 3% of the population. So for me, that's just not fair. So I think it's just a worth sacrifice to do for the better good, and try to invest that money into everybody, in which now, since you are part of America, as the LGBT group, you could still benefit, because we're not going to be discriminating. And that's maybe where we should be investing that money, finding ways in which people have to change their mentality and try to be more acceptable when it comes to other people's races, gender, and all of that stuff. But at the same time, that should not be encouraged in no schools. That should be a decision that you make, just like you make a decision when you want to go to college. Once you get out of school, once you turn old, but it should never be even a conversation, because, like I said again, a small minority of people should not have that much influence when it comes to the education system, which is, I think, why this whole education system has gone haywire. So, yeah, that's mostly what I would be a little bit worried. But anything else, man, listen, I don't grade somebody on if they do one bad thing. I do have a grade in which I'd be like, okay, out of the 10 things that he said, how many did he accomplish? I'm not looking for him to accomplish all of them. If he does accomplish all of them, that is a great thing. Believe me, that is such a great thing that you have never seen that type of stuff happen. So I'm not going to knock him off if he's only able to do half of it. If he's able to do half of it, I'm okay. Actually, let me be a little bit tough on him. Just like it was for me in my school, I needed a 65% grade or pass. So if he gets at least 6 to 7 of the things that he promised out of 10, for me, that's a passing grade. That's how I would judge him. Now, anything after that, he will get a different grade, excellent. And if he gets all 10 of them, outstanding, because he deserves it. And I do believe, even though I'm putting a little bit of low expectations, because I don't want to kind of mess things up, because I already know what he's gonna do. I already know his mentality, and we already seen him in power, and we've seen him in power when the media, everybody was against him, and he still did it. I think he actually thrives in the type of chaos. So I think he will even be manufacturing his own chaos just to kind of have something pumping him up. But when it comes to getting his job done, yeah. And when it comes to this time, these people we're talking about, Avengers, we got the best Avengers with Vivek, JD Vance, Tulsi, all of these people. Listen, we doing this. So Anyways, I'm gonna end it like that, and see you in the next episode.